What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Yankees on Deck podcast. I'm your host, Matt Cunningham, and the Yankees win this one tonight against the Minnesota Twins in Minnesota, 5-1. The final and overall very clean game by the New York Yankees. It started out a bit concerning. Carlos Rodon, he gave up a home run in the bottom of the first, a leadoff home run to Ryan Jeffers. It was 1-0 Minnesota at that point, nobody out. And, you know, he hung a pitch and Jeffers was all over it. So, look, not obviously an ideal start, but, at the end of the day, he was able to settle down, which was huge. And his final line, he was able to go 6 innings pitched, gave up 6 hits, the one earned run on that solo home run in the first to lead things off, but he had 6 strikeouts. ERA now down to 3.31. So overall, it was a great day for Carlos Rodon. Aside from that, first batter home run, he was great. He settled down after that. He was able to get Willie Castro a few batters later on a strikeout, and then Jose Miranda flied out. And it was a little bit of a jam for him. He had to labor through the first inning because he had the leadoff home run given up to Ryan Jeffers, and then there were runners on, base, 2 runners on. But he was able to get out of it. He struck out Carlos Santana. And then the Yankees, they got to work early on, top of the second. They were able to get a lot of traffic. Rizzo had a base hit, and Torres had a base hit. Torres actually had a good day at the plate. He was 2 for 5. He was 2 for 2 to start the game. Then Austin Wells had a base hit. So then they had bases loaded. Then Cabrera got a sac fly to tie the game at 1. And then Anthony Volpe, who continues to be one of the hottest hitters on this team right now, he laced an RBI double to left field to break the tie and make it 2-1 Yankees at that point. All this happening in the top of the second. And it was overall, it was another solid day for the offense. And Anthony Volpe, too. Let's talk about him. His last 7 games, batting average over 344. 344 batting average, 2 home runs, 8 RBIs in his last 7 games. His last 15 games, average hovering around 262. So he's really picked it up. He looks great. And this is a guy that we were talking about, out of the leadoff spot, I don't know. But look, he's starting to pick it up again. A batting average at 269. And he's been a much better bat the ball hitter this year. He does have 5 home runs to this point, which is good. 21 RBIs, 8 stolen bases, but he's making a lot better contact. He's hitting the ball over the field. Much flatter plane level swing, like we've talked about, that we've seen from him. And he's looked much more comfortable this last week and a half at the leadoff spot. So kind of like I was saying, like people were judging it way too much on a small sample size of him having 0-4s in the leadoff spot. I was like, give it more than a few games, and he's looking like he's really coming to his own in the leadoff spot as our leadoff hitter right now. And who knows if he keeps this up? You can't pull him from the leadoff spot. When DJ comes back, if he comes back, So anyway, going back to the game, Carlos Rodon, after the leadoff home run, he settled in. He pretty much, left a lot of traffic off the bases. The Twins did get runners in scoring position several times, but they were unable to, cash in on any of that. With runners in scoring position tonight, they were 0 for 6. So they had opportunities with Rodon, runners on the corners. Rodon was able to work out some of those jams. And the Twins were not really able to capitalize and get the big hit tonight. Other than that solo shot in the first to get things going, they really were pretty quiet on offense. Did have 7 hits, but just 1 run to show for it. And the Yankees, on the other hand, had 13 hits. So let's get back to that. We talked about in the second, they were up 2-1. Then in The next time they would score was the top of the third. The Yankees were able to get a John Carlos Stanton home run, Big G, as they call it, off of Chris Paddock, the Twins right-hander. And I mean, this ball was crushed, 114 miles an hour, 427 feet. Stanton's really looking great at the plate as of late. I know he gets a lot of crap, but look, out of that DH spot when he's playing, he's been a solid contributor for us right now. He's got 9 home runs, 21 RBIs, 236 batting average. So yeah, I mean the batting average obviously isn't going to jump out at you, but he's putting up power numbers right now. 9 home runs, a little over a month in. That's pretty good. I mean, hopefully he can stay on the field. You know, he is 34 years old, but we're seeing good from Stan right now. His last 7 games, guys, he's hitting 276, 3 home runs, and last 15 games overall, he's hit 254, 4 home runs. And then you compile the last 30 games, he has 7 home runs, 241 batting average, 19 RBIs. I mean, I'll take that, man. I'll take that. Healthy Stan, you could bat him fifth, sixth in the order, you know, and you keep batting Verdugo at cleanup like they did tonight because Verdugo looks incredibly comfortable at cleanup. So I would keep doing that. And also another thing, like the Yankees are like 7-0 now, batting Verdugo cleanup. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep Verdugo at cleanup. You have Stan at 5. I mean, if Stan can stay healthy and hit around 230, 240 and hit you over 30 home runs, I'll take it. That's a huge win in my book. And right now he's got 9 home runs. I mean, he's being a contributor on offense and he's staying healthy right now. We could just hope at this rate that he can keep it up. Anthony Rizzo was 1 for 5. But if we go back to the scoring, then so the Yankees are now up 3-1 through 2 innings. Or no, sorry, 3-1 through 3 innings. And then they score 2 runs in the fourth, thanks to an Alex Verdugo double. We talked about Alex Verdugo in the cleanup hole. He had the day off in the third game of the series against Tampa, but he has been another guy that we've talked about on offense that's really, started turning around. You know, he has scuffled a bit his last 7 games, batting average at 160, but overall his last 15 games, batting average at 241, 3 home runs, 11 RBIs. I mean, he's been a guy that's picked it up for us, especially out of that leadoff spot. He looks incredibly comfortable. And, you know, he had a huge double tonight in the gap in left center. And then we go to the next time the Yankees score, which is, at this point, it's, or actually, no, sorry. That's the only other time they scored. It's really late. I'm kind of tired. I just got home from a buddy's house. I was watching the game. But the Yankees were able to put up 5 spot early in the fourth inning. Add 2 runs to make it 5-1, and that was all the scoring they did. But that's all the scoring they needed, guys. I know I'm kind of off tonight, but I'm tired. It's past midnight. I had to get this in, record this. But I was watching the game. I was at a buddy's house, but I was watching the game. I was following it, and overall, I mean, Carlos Rodon was great. We can say he has had a bounce back year. I mean, you look at the stats, 3.3 ERA. I mean, last year he was like well above 5. And the bullpen tonight was great. It was exceptional, actually. Ian Hamilton relieved Clay Holmes in the 7th. He gave us 2 innings, 2 solid innings, only gave up 1 hit, had 2 strikeouts. And then Clay Holmes, being Clay Holmes, comes in, pitches a solid inning. Again, ERA still at 0. I mean, this is nuts. Clay Holmes still at a 0 ERA, and we're well into a month into the season. I mean, this is nuts. Clay Holmes has 12 saves on the year. He's pitched 18.1 innings. He's appeared in 18 games, and he has not given up a run. I mean, yeah, sure. At the beginning of the year, we called him Cardiac Clay, and certain points this year because he would get into trouble. And he did get bailed out a bit, here and there. But, I mean, at this rate, he hasn't given up any runs. I mean, that is super impressive. I mean, the lockdown pitcher that he's been these past several weeks and, like, hardly allowing any traffic, really. Like, look, yeah, I know the Tampa Bay game, he got the bases loaded, and that was stressful. But most of the season, honestly, he has been locked down. He comes in. It's been quick innings for the most part. I mean, he's been super impressive. And I mean, honestly, I had a strong feeling the game was over after Rodon. I was just hoping Rodon could get through the 6 innings because the Twins in that 6 inning they got runners on first and second, less than 2 outs, and I was like, oh, here we go. They hit a couple balls hard off him. I was thinking, Rodon approaching 100 pitches now, he's done, but he was able to labor through, get through it. 6 innings, I mean that's huge, and then Ian Hamilton and Holmes are able to relieve him too because we only had to use two bullpen guys tonight. I mean, yes, we did use our closer up 4 runs, but it's kind of nice we only had to go to two guys tonight in our bullpen, which is nice. So save some of those guys for tomorrow. And Chris Paddock on the Twins, I mean, this is a guy who's not like a terrible pitcher or anything. Like he's not like lights out or anything, but his ERA is up to 4.89 after this start. But the last the last 7 games, he hasn't been good, 4.93 ERA. But Chris Paddock has always been a guy who's had some bright spots for this Twins team, especially on a Twins team that does have a strong starting rotation. He's 28 years old. I remember this guy came from San Diego Padres in a trade to the Twins. He's been like an up and down guy. He's not like, he's had seasons. I mean, 2019 with San Diego, he had a 3.33 ERA. 2020 he was bad. 2021 he was bad. 2022 he wasn't really much better. So he has had like a good season or two, like a decent season or two in the major leagues. I mean, this is a guy that was like highly regarded coming up in the Marlins system, and I mean with the Padres. So yeah, I mean, he's not like the best pitcher, but like I know the numbers. Like don't don't focus so much on the ERA and everything. He's not a half bad pitcher. I mean, he's not nothing amazing, but he's not like terrible or anything. He's not amazing, but he's not terrible. He's like, you know, somewhere in the middle, like maybe slightly above mediocre. Because he does have some bright moments. He has had some bright moments pitching this year for this Twins team, even though the overall numbers are not good. So, you know, he played Boston on May 3rd, 6 shutout innings. Seattle, he went 5 1/3 on May 8th, only gave up 1 run, 10 strikeouts. I mean, so he does have some decent starts this year, even though the overall numbers are not great. So he's not like no layover pitcher by any means. And the Yankees were able to get to him tonight, 5 runs through 5 innings, 12 hits given up. Yikes. 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. He only gave up 1 home run, which was a Giancarlo Stanton, which is kind of nice because it's kind of continuing this theme for the Yankees in terms of like not having to rely on the home run ball, which is nice, because that's been the MO with this team for a lot of years of just like, oh, they score all their runs hitting home runs, and then it's like home run or strikeout. But it's kind of nice this year. They've been able to manufacture a lot of runs, putting the ball in play, hitting the ball into the gaps, and scoring runs that way, and not just relying on the home run ball. Like, yes, they will hit their home runs when they need to. They're top 5 in the league in home runs, but it's not like they're not like solely dependent on it like they were in previous seasons when they were, a playoff team. So that's nice, And for the Twins, this guy, Jay Jackson, who's 36 years old, relieved Chris Paddock. He's not good at all. 6.20 ERA. He came in, pitched 2 innings. He was actually good though. Didn't give up any runs. Had a strikeout. Struck out Aaron Judge actually. Saw that on my phone. And then they brought in this guy Steven Okert, 3.5 ERA to start this year. And yeah, I mean their bullpen was fine. They didn't give up any runs. It was all on Chris Paddock tonight. Yankees got to him early. Got the 5 runs. They had 5 runs on the board by the 4th inning. They did all this scoring early tonight, and then they stopped. But look, the pitching was able to hold it down. 4-run lead, that's somewhat comfortable, for a starting staff. Gives them a little bit of breathing room, so that was nice. And the Yankees get the win. And the Yankees get the win against a Minnesota team that is very, very good. I mean, they started off bad, in late March, and through April, being under 500 for a bit, but they really picked it up. They picked up steam. Then they went on like a 10-game winning streak, and now they are Um, now they're 24-17. So, you know, 7 games above 500. I mean, that's not bad. Especially, and they're in the same division as the Guardians, who are 27-16, one of the top 5 teams in the league. So, yeah, I mean, this Twins team, they have they have some talent on this team. And we look at the probable pitchers. I mean, Paddock is the easiest pitcher the Yankees will have to face in the series because tomorrow Yankees will have Stroman pitch, but they'll have to face Pablo Lopez. And again, his numbers not crazy off the charts, like 3.89 ERA, 4-2, 4 wins, 2 losses. But I mean, he got off to an amazing start to this season. And it's really just been the last 7 games he's been a little bit off. But overall, I mean, to start the year, I remember he was very good against division opponents. So yeah, I mean, Pablo Lopez is a guy they traded for in the Luis Ariz trade. He was very good with Miami, and he's had some good stints. He was very good last year with the Minnesota Twins when they acquired him. After the 2022 season, he had a 3.6 ERA. So what you see is what you're going to get with this guy, Pablo Lopez. He's a big guy, 6'4". He's 28 years old, so he's in the prime of his career. So the Yankees are going to have a bit of a test tomorrow with him, obviously. And, then we look at what on Thursday they're going to have to face Joe Ryan, who's another or younger pitcher for the Twins, who is he's 27 years old, and he's become somewhat of an ace for them. I mean, he's been very solid of late these past few years, and you look at his last 7 games, 3.4 ERA, last 15, 3.21. I mean, he's been great. He's been great for them. A good mainstay guy in that rotation, who the Twins acquired several years ago from Tampa Bay in a Rays trade. I think it was I forget the player going back to the Rays. I remember hearing about it though when it did happen. But if you look at his stats, this year, 3.21 ERA so far. Last year, he was at 4.5, but that's because he was really bad in the first half. And then the second half, he really turned it on. He was great. So, so the overall stats, that's why sometimes these stats, they don't tell the full story because, I mean, this guy's been a great pitcher ever since the second half of last year for the Twins. He's really kind of found his own, and not, I thought he was actually younger than 27, but I guess he's not, but 27 years old, he's not going to overwhelm you with velocity or anything, but he's very good at moving the ball. He's got a lot of movement on his pitches. If you watch him pitch, he'll move the ball up, down, sideways. I mean, he's very good like that. He throws a slider, sinker, sweeper. So he's big on movement. He'll mix a four-seamer in there too. Four-seamer too. He doesn't. It's not going to blow you away like super fast. I think he averages on his four-seamer usually around 93, 94, but around 93. His fastball will be low, but it's got a lot of movement. He's got a lot of movement on his pitches, including split finger and sweeper and whatnot, slider, sinker too. So, he's a polished pitcher at 27 years old, and a guy that should be hitting his prime right about now. So, yeah, I mean, there you have it. And so then the rest of this game, pretty much, it was a clean game for us. Going to Minnesota, it's always eventful there, playing them in that stadium, and the Yankees are able to pull out the first game, which is huge because Minnesota is a good team. You could say everything you want, and Yankee fans can be cocky and this and that about our success against Minnesota in the playoffs. But at the end of the day, you can't underestimate them. Regardless, they're a good team. These last several years, they've been able to field playoff teams. They made the playoffs last year. Yankees saw them in 2017 and 2019, and I think they saw them in 2021 too. So like, this is a regular team that makes the playoffs and is in contention, and you can't mess around with them. And the Yankees came out and they played really well tonight. I thought after the first batter Rodon faced, I was like, oh no, it's probably not gonna be Rodon's night. He just pitches way out over the plate. And Rodon, like we've talked about this, like fastballs, sliders that he just hangs up in the zone that get crushed at times, and trying to figure that out. But at the end of the day, I mean, the most important thing with Rodon is the fastball velo. Just when he's when he's like 93, 94, it's you get a little bit more worried because he's usually a guy that can play up to like 95, 96, and have a little bit more life on that fastball, a little bit more tail spin up in the zone, and get by hitters. So when he's down a few ticks, it's a little concerning. But tonight he looked like Carlos Rodon, similar to what he was with like the Giants and White Sox. Like that's the Carlos Rodon we hope to see, obviously more often this year, and we have seen that, and we just hope he can continue that and stay healthy. I mean, the key thing for him is health, right? That he can stay on the field because I mean, when he's healthy, when Carlos Rodon is healthy, and you see his fastball velo, hovering around 95, 96. I mean, wipeout slider, nice changeup too. I mean, he's a great pitcher. He's a great pitcher. He can mow hitters down. And we have seen that this year time and time again. And look, we saw that a bit today, even though he, only had 6 strikeouts. I mean, he was able to work efficiently, and get through 6 innings at 100 pitches. I mean, when we were saying in previous games how, he was laboring by that like fourth, fifth inning trying to get out of that and at 100 pitches. So, today we saw him being more efficient. Hopefully that's something he can carry over as well. Uh, especially coming off of the Houston series, he was good as well. So good starts consecutive in a row, huge boost of confidence for a guy, especially for a guy who first year in New York went as bad as you could expect, right? Was getting booed, all that stuff, and now yes, he has had his share of clunkers this year in terms of games pitched that just didn't go his way at all. Didn't go his way at all. But he's had a lot more good than bad, and that's what you got to take from this, especially against a good Minnesota team, a lineup that's pretty decent, and a team that's really turned it around and is as advertised. I mean, they got guys in this lineup that are producing. Carlos Correa, Willie Castro, their third baseman Miranda, Ryan Jeffers. He's tearing the cover off the ball, hitting 290, OPS near 1,000, 10 home runs. I mean, they got guys and he's their catcher. I mean, Ryan Jeffers. I mean, I didn't know he was this good, but they're this is no joke of a team. I mean, the way the AL Central looks right now between the Guardians and Twins, it's mirroring what the AL East right now is between the Yankees and the Orioles. It's looking like a 2-team race in both those divisions, clearly to this point. So yeah, I mean, hopefully the Yankees can come out tomorrow and get the series win. I mean, that'd be awesome if we can get a series win against Minnesota, who is by no means a bad team. I would be thrilled. A sweep, I would be ecstatic. But a series win, I'd be greatly satisfied. So let's keep up the momentum. The Yankees, coming off the Tampa series, they won. And then the series before that was Houston. They won. So this is what you got to do. I mean, look, sure, yes, you would like to, some of those series, yes, sweep, but as long as you can just pile on these series wins, I mean, you're gonna have a 90+ winning team at least. If you can really pile that on, and that's huge, especially when it comes down to tight divisions and all that. And I will say too, the interesting stat was the Yankees have played. Well, they said before the race series it was 13, so now it's 14. So 14 series played, they have won 12 of them. And I mean, 12 series won out of 14. I mean, that's pretty freaking impressive. We haven't been swept. this year. We've only lost 2 series. One of those was to Baltimore in Camden Yards, and that team, we know what they are. And I mean, the fact that this team, despite losing Garrett Cole and not having the Martian, who, by the way, actually began a rehab start today in High A Tampa with the Tampa Tarpons, he had a base hit, his first at bat, off of actually former Yankee Domingo Germán, funny enough, who was rehabbing down there with the Pirates single A team. That's who they were playing. So I think he was like 1 for 4. I think that was his only hit, but good to see. And we'll see. I mean, we'll see how he does in the minors, Jason, rehabbing. I would expect that it's probably going to take him some time because he's been out for several months. He needs a full spring training. The Yankees said that with Oswaldo Peraza because Peraza hurt his shoulder. Like tricep, like muscle area in his shoulder or something. I don't know if it was more shoulder, like tricep or something, but he hurt, a muscle like tendon in there, and he basically missed most like 95% of spring training. And the Yankees said, look, he's going to need like a full spring training of rehab in the minors. And he started his rehab like about a week ago, or actually his first at bat, he homered. I don't know how he's doing right now. I haven't seen any latest updates about him, but he's going to take a while to get back, and if he does get called back up, he'd be like a utility guy, essentially. But Jason Dominguez, the Martian, I mean, look, all the hype we had last year, we got to see first how he does in the minors with the rehab and all that, and then say he's doing really well. I mean, then you have to factor in, okay, you call him up, but where's he going to play? I mean, because you have Stan at DH, so you could, obviously you're going to have to rest Stan certain days, so you could have Jason playing DH. But I mean, do you want Dominguez playing every day? I mean, if he's ramping up in the minors for rehab, right? Then you call him up, and he's good to go. I mean, you really want him playing every day. I mean, he's a young kid. He's 21 years old. I mean, you want him playing every day. So I really honestly don't see the Yankees calling him up if, let's say, Alex Verdugo is continuing to do really well, right? And say Alex Verdugo's doing great in left. I mean, then you have Verdugo left to Judge center, and Soto right. And Trent Grisham is the guy that's like the bench guy that'll play certain days in center field when Judge is off from playing center. But you're not going to put Dominguez in that role because Dominguez is our top prospect. No, sorry, not our top prospect, like our second best prospect. And all this hype, he was amazing coming up last year, and you're not going to do that. You're not going to put a guy in that position on the bench in a part-time role like Trent Grisham has when Jason Dominguez is a young kid in his early 20s who honestly, coming off this injury, needs to get consistent playing time in order to get back to his original self. And you're not going to do that. You're not going to give him, half playing time, like 50% playing time in the major leagues when he can get more bats in the minors, if that ends up being the case. So people are automatically assuming like, yeah, Dominguez is going to come back and like be this great player, that he was, at the end of last year, which I kind of, to be honest, I kind of believed myself too for a little bit. But at the end of the day, if we're being realistic, that's not necessarily going to be the case because first we got to see how he performs coming off this injury. Tommy John, obviously it's interesting when a position player has to have it because usually it's a pitcher injury. But for position players, it's usually the recovery is obviously usually not so bad because they're not pitching. But the latest player I can think of was Bryce Harper that had it, and his recovery honestly went pretty well and smoothly. But at the end of the day, I don't want to rush him back either because right now the offense is fine. They're doing all right. Same with the pitching, and I would rather honestly Dominguez get more at bats in the minors. And if he's got to stay down there for a few months just to kind of ramp up and get ready, and then the numbers show that, and when he's ready, he's ready. Then you call him back up and say Verdugo is slumping. Then you could make that switch. You could move Soto to left some days, Judge to left some days, and then you could put Dominguez outfield. He came up playing center field because he's a big guy, but he's also pretty athletic. He can run, he can steal bases. Um, so primarily you would want to put him in like center field. I don't know if he did play any left field when he came up last year. I'm not really sure, but he profiles more as like a center fielder. And it's tough because you have Judge primarily playing center field. And when it's not Judge, it's Grisham. So my only point is if you're going to call up Dominguez, I mean, do you really want to be calling him up only to be playing, you know, every couple days, a couple days a week when he could be playing every day in the minors and fully ramping back up? Like I don't know if that serves him the best in his continued development at this point. I mean, because we want Jason Dominguez to be a huge factor for this team at some point down the line, but you just have to factor the roster in the way it looks right now. So we'll see. We'll see. That's my only point. It's nothing against Dominguez or anything. That's just my rationale for thinking it in terms of the roster construction, the way it is right now. Like, because it's kind of full right now. You know what I mean? And Trent Grisham, it's different. Trent Grisham is a defensive first guy, one of the best defensive outfielders for center field in Major League Baseball. So, like, that's the way the Yankees utilize him because he's not a guy known for his bat. He strikes out a lot. He can hit you some pop, but he's not going to hit you more than 200 for a batting average or anything, honestly. So, the Yankees know where his value lies, and that's where he serves his role as playing part-time. Jason Dominguez is totally different. This is the guy who we want playing center field for us, hopefully for the next, 15 years, 10, 15 years. So, we don't want to have him in a part-time role coming off of an injury if that's going to, possibly diminish him or hurt him in a way, which it could, So, we'll see. But at the end of the day, overall, we're very satisfied, and the Yankees are now back in first place by half a game against the Orioles. Yankees now moved to 28-15. The Orioles lost yesterday to the Toronto Blue Jays, which was nice. And like I said, they got rained out tonight. They got postponed against Baltimore. So they're 26-14, and we are 28-15, and we are half game up in first place. So let's go back in first place. Let's keep the foot on the gas and continue to fight for this division title. Let's go, Yankees. Have a good night, everybody. I will see you all tomorrow.